Hey everyone, how are you guys today? I have an Etsy shop that I do want to share with you guys today. I've shared her before. The last time I shared her, I was with my grandson. We did a live, and I felt like I didn't get to showcase her items as much as I wanted to. And some of you guys don't like to join in on lives. And so I want it fair for all sides, and I want you guys all to see how beautiful her items are in her Etsy shop. I'm not sure how many more she has of these on her shelf, but I wanted to throw a shout out to Laura. Hey Laura at LaughingDogsBookNook. I'm saying her name once again because I'll tell you what, when I say I like something, I will let the world know I like it. And I trust that you guys know that when I say this beautiful vintage quilted items, you could trust that they're beautiful pieces. And to top it off, I mean, how many pieces you get in this pack are just amazing. Either you're going to be quilting them or use them for journal covers, or if you're making purses, like I have a group of people who love to make purses and stuff like that. This is an awesome pack. It's just beautiful, great price. I think they're $25. They're lightweight, so shipping is going to be around $5.50 to $7 something, depending if you want priority mail. But I can't wait to dig in. I also have another item I want to show of hers as well that she has in her Etsy shop. But if you want to get a pack today that I'm going to be showing you guys, down below is her Etsy shop link. It's called LaughingDogsBookNook, which I absolutely love that name. She's an animal lover. She loves her dogs. And so it's a perfect name. You can't forget that one. And I absolutely love her shop logo as well. So when I got the pack, I was just shocked. I mean, there was so much put into this. It's just amazing. Now, the scrap pack that I showed you guys live, I've already dug into it. So for those who weren't watching the live, she also has gallon size. So this is the bag exactly, which I have a surprise. I want to show you guys later what I was using with them. Filled with chenille, which this is chenille back here. Scrappy pieces that's katashiki, florals, and all kinds of patterns. And she said they were scraps, but I'll tell you what, there were some large pieces in this bag. Also in there was strands, yardage of sari silk. I was just to the moon and back. So thank you, Laura, so much for that. Amazing prices. So you got to go check it out. Click on the link as I'm doing this video. You guys always play back the video at any time. I hope there's some left. So I'm going to dig in, and first I'm going to put this stuff aside. These are the extra goodies she put into each pack. I'll go over those here in a minute, but I'm going to set those aside because just wait to see this. Those are familiar with vintage quilts. What Laura did, she took vintage quilts and she cut them out by hand, especially like this here pattern is honeycomb pattern, commonly known as Grandmother's Flower Garden is the pattern that is right here. Instead of cutting them out in squares, she had cut them out by the stitch work. So she kept it so you can have the entire size of the entire print without cutting into the other one. So she has 12 vintage quilt pieces here, quilt top pieces. They range from different sizes and they're pretty rather large pieces. Perfect, like I said, for either doing new quilts. I've actually seen people make homemade stockings out of these, which was so cool. I think it was Jean Morton, I think, who does that, for those who follow Jean. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jean Morton. Okay, so I don't want to get off the main subject. 12 quilt top pieces, and you guys already see, pretty rather large. And these are not just any vintage quilts. These are hand-stitched quilt pieces. And no batting or anything, just the tops. If you guys can see, I'll turn one over. Look how beautiful. I mean, all these beautiful vintage fabric pieces quilted beautifully. She made sure that she put together packs that didn't have many or any staining at all. And so the first thing I see when I opened up this really cool pack, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 honeycomb - Grandmother's Flower Garden vintage quilt tops. So here's the first one. Let me get my measuring. I got like one of those expandable measuring tools, which I could have pressed pause, but I didn't. I love this thing. Anyone else uses these? I love them. When I used to be a nurse, I used to have them in my pocket all the time. Okay, so I have 11 inches for the smallest one, which look how beautiful though. Look at those pieces. You cannot go wrong. I think what's cool about this too, if you took a fabric piece that is the size of your journal cover, sew this right on it. So when you still have your journal cover, but on it, along with the fabric piece, you have your the front of your quilt, front of your journal and the back of your journal. But if you open up the back binding, you'll have the whole entire piece. I thought that would be cool. I've seen Laura do that as well. Also, Laura has a YouTube channel which she shows you how you can use these pieces, how she does them, and how she makes her journals with them. So check out her YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to Laura at LaughingDogsBookNook, down below is her YouTube channel as well. Please subscribe to her. That would be awesome. So there's one. Look at this one. This one's bigger. Look how beautiful. Now just remember, the Grandmother's Flower Garden quilts, they are all different colors. I think you kind of see what I mean. So she took the stitch work out. I don't know if this was with this quilt or not. And so she kept the edges like that, which is so cool. So when you get your pack, they're going to be all different colors. They won't be identical like the colors I have. So don't be all upset if your pack doesn't match the same flowers or whatever. So that's the cool part about it, is that it's all beautiful vintage pieces. This one's a different size as well. Let me measure this one. That guy looked like he was close to that size. This guy here is 12 inches round. I don't know if you call that round, if you know what I mean. But look how beautiful. One of these, she was telling me that a woman had cut out her pattern. It's so pretty, you see what I mean? But they hand stitched them together. That tells you the quality as well. Not only the vintage quality pieces of fabrics, but the hand stitch work. So back to what I was saying, she had cut her pieces out with papers from a Bible. See, people did use paper to sew on back in the day. But when she stitched it together, and I was hoping to see if I can find one, when she stitched it together, you can see the Bible passages, like papers, in between the two pieces that she's sewn together. It was so neat. I wish I'll see if I could find one in one of these prints. But again, here's another one. This is just square. And this guy is just almost 7 inches square. And I'm not sure which pattern, but look at the beautiful vintage pieces. And again, look at all the stitch work. Amazing. This one here, somebody had designed this pattern. Her and I were racking our brain like, what pattern is this? Someone had made this pattern. The entire quilt was these blocks, just like that. I've never seen this pattern before. And again, hand stitched, which again, like I said, guys, it's just the quality of knowing that all that work was put into it. And just like, you know, a good example, the people are like, what does it matter that it's hand stitched? Okay. Yes, a sewing machine does stitch a quilt, nice and tight stitches and evenly and what have you. But the quality of a hand stitch quilt, it seems like they last longer. All that time they took to do each stitch, and it just seems like they last and the quality's better. The time factor and then the work they put into it, that they took the time to make sure each of those pieces were perfectly stitched together. It's a star pattern. There's so many pattern names for stars. And these are all freshly laundered, so nice and clean. This one here is just the granny square pattern. Depending on how this quilt was, it could have been, there's other pattern names for the squares. There's stamps around the world. That's the cool thing about quilting, is there's so many different patterns and designs, but the squares, triangles, honeycomb patterns, you know, those kind of things, hand stitched as well. And what's cool, this guy here is like, these squares are, so when they sewn them together, they were 2-inch squares, 2-inch by 2-inch squares, but when I sewn them together, it's just about 1.5-inch squares. Those are tiny squares, and they're the hardest, and that tells you someone hand stitched all those little bitty squares. That's craziness. The time. Another star pattern, which I should have measured these guys for you. So the star patterns, looks like they're running around 9.5-inch square. And this guy here is about 8.5-inch square. Again, nice sizes, guys. I mean, You can even to cut this guy up and use them for collaging and layering kind of thing. Or so another star pattern. This one too, this came from the wedding ring quilt pattern, except we were like, how do we capture it, you know? And this is what she did, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, because look how beautiful that is. That is just so cool. Loving it. And blue is actually one of the most popular colors in quilting. Another hand stitched. It's crazy that they hand stitched all those triangles. It's crazy. This one too, look how retro. Look at those pretty pieces. Again, hand stitched. Laura, I don't know how you were brave enough to cut all these. This is more honeycombs. So the same thing, this is the same pattern as this. And you're like, how is that possible? That's the cool thing about quilting. These are the same patterns, but the only difference is they did all these different types of like scrappy look pieces. This one here, they did the same pieces, but they did it to where it turned into this kind of pattern of a flower. So this would be the same thing if you could see the pattern. It just kind of like, it's so cool. That's the thing about quilting I absolutely love. It's like, use the same like shape, but you can make so many different patterns out of it. Oh, I should measure this guy. Again, this guy's hand stitched as well. All right, 12 inches by about 12. There's a few pieces here that she had taken out pieces of, which is fine, but still a lot of 12 blocks, guys. 12 amazing quilt blocks. That's a great 25 bucks. And then she tops it off. When I open this up, it was wrapped with this antique lace. It's 3 inches wide and it's a yard of it. Those who know antique lace is very expensive. I've seen where you guys cut it down the middle and you put them on wooden spools. I've seen that. I thought that was pretty darn cool. So you get a yard of that. And then she topped it with a Beatrix Potter. There's this upholstery fabric and she cut the squares out. There's so many different prints. Like this is the mouse, there's the toad one, there's the bunny one. So it's a surprise to see what print you actually get. And these guys measure, let's see here. They measure about 5 by 6. And I was talking with her the other day. What print did I see? This one here, I think, the honeycomb or one of these. But could you imagine if you stitch this, and of course you can ruffle the edges of this on one of the covers before you put it together. So of course, if it was mine, I would just cut this guy out and then stitch him on there, or stitch around here and then cut the pattern you have and ruffle, you know, fringe the edges kind of thing. But isn't she a darling? Oh my gosh. I could totally see a Beatrix Potter book. Anyhow, I could just keep going. And she put in a vintage doily. All of them are different. This one here is adorable, of course. I'm really glad I got one that's colorful. And then a crocheted piece here, which this guy is about 6-inch square. Isn't that awesome? All those beautiful goodies for $25, like I said, they're lightweight. So if you're international, this is a way to go. If I roll this guy up and I could probably weigh him, I bet you he's probably, let's see, it's doing this for my international people because I know this is so important. And she does accept international. Let's see here. 6.2, but if you count packaging, let's just say 7 ounces for worst case scenario. Great price. So again, lightweight, great price, and you get so much in it. So grab your pack while you can. Don't go yet because I also have this. It came in a different bag, but similar to this, but I actually used the bag. I'm a recyclable kind of girl. She had cut out from vintage quilts, scrap pieces, hearts. Look how adorable. Let me see here again. Let me grab one of these guys for you guys. You can see where you can stitch them on your different tops of your quilt pieces and make books. But she has packs of those in her Etsy shop as well. And this is the pack I got. You can kind of see what I have. So you cannot go wrong. And they're lightweight. They're not too thick where you can sew with them. But look how adorable. So 1, 2, I think there's a 4-pack. I hope I'm not missing one. 3, 4 beautiful hearts and just gorgeous. Like I said, thin, awesome to work with either gluing down or stitching. I could totally see whip stitching. Those who know that's kind of like whip stitching. The edges by hand onto whatever you're doing. So please check out Laura at LaughingDogsBookNook. I'm shouting her out again because I absolutely love her shop and I love what she does and the quality of her pieces. So check it out, guys. Her links are all down below. Thank you for watching this and have a great day. Bye, guys.